Thank you, Shaheen, and a very good evening to all of you. I must say, it's really, really inspiring and motivating to talk to these young bunch of educators, and I've been listening and talking to some of them and the different things that you're doing. Amazing. I just heard the earlier speaker and who talked about that education should not be about push and it should be about pull. Let me tell you, when I became the principal of the college, that's what I really wanted to do. When somebody asks me, what do you want your students to do first thing when they jump out of the bed? And I said, I want them to come to the college and think of the college. The students do come to the college first thing when they jump out of the bed, but because of the canteen. But never mind, we've at least created a canteen that brings them back to us. So as an educator and as somebody who's been almost 3 decades in higher education, it's always been my passion to find out what's it that we should do in education, what is the role of education, and how can we bring change in education. And you know, it's been a great journey. Of course, it begins with you think academics is everything, so you do everything possible to see that they get the best marks, they get the best grades, because these are also important. So you start with that journey with, you know, focusing on academics. Then you start moving more towards things like, let's give them holistic development, so they have extracurricular activities, they have sports, and all that is so very important. But what's happened to me is at every stage, I've had somebody who's taught me what needs to be done. And that somebody is nobody from outside, but from my own students. Let me just give you one quick example. I enter my room and I'm just sitting, piles of those university circulars which keep coming in, and I'm looking through those, and a young man enters my college, my own student, a 19-year-old young man, and shuts off all the lights in my room. Brave man, isn't he? A risk taker. Principal's room, and a principal who's a sheriff, right? And he doesn't switch on those lights, and a little later, I keep telling him, JC, why are you doing this to me? And he says, I'll let you know. And he lets me sweat it out in that room for 10 minutes without the air conditioning and without the lights, and then puts on the light. And I say, oh, thank God. And then he says, you know how good it is to see light? And I said, yes, but what are you trying to tell me? And he says, all I want to tell you is that there are 400 million people in this country who do not see light after sunset. So I said, JC, what do you want me to do? And he says, we want to have a campaign in the college where we want to take solar lighting to some of the villages around us in Mumbai. So I said, great campaign, what are you going to do? And he says, we have some creative ideas. So I said, go ahead. I didn't know what I was getting into till I entered the college next day. The whole entire college did not have any lights. Because he did not want charity or donations, but he wanted the students to be sensitized that there are people who don't see light. Today, these students have got together and started a very creative campaign. Give up your packet of chips a day. And you give up your packets of chips, whole year you collect enough money to give solar lighting to the villages. And they have now lit up 62 villages in the state of Maharashtra. What is this education about? Have we done something right in the college? How does a JC come up, and how do these students get this kind of motivation? Because I think it's been the passion to know what's education. How does it go beyond classrooms? How does it go beyond academics? And one of the things I realized is that some of our institutions are very privileged, and they do get very privileged people to come and study here. I realized that I thought the only way we could really educate them, or real education, was about if they can be sensitized to what the real life outside is. I think education is really as simple as that. At the end of the day, you want the student to walk out of your college to say that he understands what the world outside is and how does he adjust to that world. And he's sensitized completely. And so what we started doing was, we said the examination is given by the university, the certificate comes by the university, but let's put something additional, some additional condition. And I have 6,000 students. And we said each student in the 5 years, because they come in 2 years at junior college and 3 years in the graduate degree college, we said in these 5 years, the student must do one project related to an NGO or with an NGO or work somewhere there. A lot of the students would be giving us certificates where they would have just visited a blind school or a deaf, a hearing impaired school or whatever. But some do get involved, and we are seeing the results. Let me give you an example. We had a young Kashmiri boy who was in the college, came to my college from Kashmir, got lost in my 6,000 students, got some great grades, got a job from the college as an investment banker, and I thought everything was working perfect. So I tell him, Dhruv Lakra, we've given you great education and you are now into a great job. Few months later, he comes back to say, this job doesn't tug at me. He goes and joins an NGO. After that, he gets picked up by the Oxford Side Business School to do a scholarship, a 1 year's MBA in social responsibility. Comes back. What does young Dhruv do? He sets up India's first courier company, but with a difference. First courier company that employs only the hearing impaired. And that's the first example that he has given to us back into our college. So I think education today, and especially the youth, and I think India today needs to realize that we've got 50% of India's population under the age of 25. When I go into the college and I see this energy, I just feel that they are the ones who are going to take this country ahead. We need them to understand that they have a role to play, not just in building their own careers and going ahead and moving ahead with what they want to do and becoming successful investment bankers and everything, but they have to, at some stage or the other, think about India's problems. I think globally people have to understand what the challenges are and try and find innovative solutions to these challenges. Let me very quickly tell you, when I became sheriff, I wanted to start a domestic helpline for people who had problems with domestic violence. And I announced this in the newspapers, and I had no clue about how a helpline is done. I taught marketing and strategy for so many years. Till 3 young people who read about this came across, brought their laptops into my room, all under the age of 30, and said, we're going to do your domestic helpline for you. Here's the number, 1298, and anybody can call this. We'll connect them to the NGOs. They gave me a list of 75 NGOs, and these NGOs will answer these questions. But who are you? We run an ambulance company. 3 people who graduated abroad, had great jobs, have started an ambulance company. But with a difference again. It's not on charity. It's you call an ambulance to go to a private hospital, you pay for it. You call an ambulance to go to a public hospital, you don't pay for it. Cross-subsidy model. They're putting their economics into real action. Today, they have more than 51 ambulances in the city of Mumbai, and they have over 400 ambulances in the country of India. And this is young 3 people educated in India and abroad and putting their education to good use. This is what I feel is the meaning of education. In future, what you need, everybody talks about, when you go to corporates, when you talk to people, what do you need? Transformational leadership, right? Where does transformational leadership come from? It comes from transformational education. And I think all of us educators have to now say that it's time for reverse mentoring. Time has gone when You taught somebody. I think it's time, listen to your students, listen to your people, empower them, give them the opportunities, and you'll see a different world, especially in India, because India is the youngest nation, and I feel it's not the growth rates that we hear from the finance minister which are going to take this country ahead, but it's these young Dhruv Lakras, the Shweta Mangals, and the JCs of the world who I feel will take this country ahead. Because I'd just like to end by saying that what I really liked, and I read a lot, is Thomas Friedman, who said that the day President Obama on 30th October 2010 was taking a flight to come to India, Thomas Friedman in New York Times had headlines which said, "Mr. President, it's morning in India." And I think it's so true. It's morning in India because of these young people, because of all of you who are making a difference through education. Thank you.